Welcome everyone to today's webinar focused on Ascend's call for content. My name is Craig Day. I am the Ascend Forum Program Executive here on the AIAA staff, and I'll be your host today. With me today are Ascend Technical Program Co-Chair Derek Doyle and Deputy Technical Program Chair Paula Vale Pereira. Ascend's call for content is structured into 6 different topic areas, and today we're going to focus on 2 of them: space traffic management and coordination, and space security and protection. If you missed it, we hosted a webinar last week on the space exploration and infrastructure and expanding and evolving the space economy topics. That recording is posted on our website at ascend.events under the call for content page, and we encourage folks to go ahead and take a look at that if you're interested in those topics. Today, we're going to just give you a brief overview of Ascend, and then we'll look at some of the important upcoming dates associated with the event. We'll talk a little bit about the call for content structure, and then Derek and Paula will walk us through today's 2 focus topics. So what is Ascend? Ascend stands for Accelerating Space Commerce, Exploration, and New Discovery. This is AIAA's event for the global space ecosystem focused on building our off-world future. This year will be our 3rd Ascend, and we'll be excited to see everyone there. The dates are: we'll be returning to the state-of-the-art Caesars Forum in Las Vegas from the 23rd to the 25th of October. 2023 Ascend will convene over 2,000 attendees from industry, government, and academia. And this year's program will be fully in person with no virtual presentations, virtual technical paper presentations, or virtual tracks as we've had in the past. Some important dates if you're considering the call for content. The call for content will close on the 15th of March next week, so you still have a few days to submit your ideas. Following that will be our Ascendex Texas event in Houston on March 29th and 30th. Ascendex Texas is an event in its 2nd year now, and that brings together the global space community to share best practices, innovative strategies, and opportunities to succeed in today's global market and our off-world future. This year's theme is Pathways for Our Success, Breaking Barriers and Accelerating the Space Ecosystem. Registration is open now, and you can learn more about the event on the Ascend website. After the call for content closes, you can look for notifications of acceptance on or about June 2nd. On June 14th, registration for the event will open, and we encourage everyone to register as early as possible for the lowest rates. September 18th will be the manuscript deadline for those submitting technical paper abstracts, and 2023 Ascend will convene on October 23rd. Ascend's call for content is designed at a higher level to promote greater diversity and freedom of important content to be offered. There's 6 topic areas for 2023, as you can see there on the slide. Today, we're going to focus on those first 2 topics, as I mentioned earlier: space traffic management and coordination, and space security and protection. There's no sort of priority given to any of these topics. As you see in the list there, we're covering these 2 today because we had the generous support of Derek and Paula to help us talk about these 2 areas. As I mentioned, there was a webinar last week on the exploration and infrastructure topic and the expanding and evolving the space economy. We are currently trying to schedule something for the space sustainability and education outreach and workforce topics, so keep an eye on your email if you're interested in those topics as well. So just a little bit about the call for content. Some of this might be new for some folks that are more used to a traditional AIAA call for papers. We have what we call collaborative sessions at Ascend, where we're asking the AIAA and broader community to submit their ideas for unique content that will bring together diverse perspectives to discuss a specific topic in an engaging and interactive format. So some of those formats include a debate with 2 people taking opposing views on a specific topic. I think we've all seen typical panel sessions, but we do try to do those in a more interactive way at Ascend. We do a lot of roundtable conversations, and workshops at Ascend where we try to derive an outcome out of the conversations. And so with the call for sessions, we're asking for input from the general public, from the AIAA community, on what they'd like to see in our programming. There's a lot of details on these formats on the website and how we want to frame those conversations. So I would encourage anyone to take a look at that. There's also some points of contact on the website to reach out to if you have any specific questions, or if there's something that doesn't make sense, please feel free to reach out. And then the second aspect of the call for content is the traditional call for papers that many of you would recognize. And that really forms the basis for the technical sessions at the event, which is so critical to our AIAA forums. So that's the overview of the call for content. We're going to move into a brief overview and discuss some of the highlights for our two topics today. Again, those being space traffic management and coordination and space security and protection. And with that, I'm going to turn the program over to our two experts. Paula Doyle Pereira is an assistant professor of aerospace engineering at Florida Institute of Technology. She's also an Ascend Deputy Technical Program Chair. And she's also the chair of the Technical Affairs Subcommittee of the AIAA Small Satellite Technical Committee. So she's got a lot of jobs, wears a lot of hats, and we appreciate her support. And Doyle is a senior engineer with Modern Technology Solutions. He is the Ascend Technical Program co-chair and also a member of the AIAA Adaptive Structures Technical Committee. And Derek is a trooper today. He's at the airport and he's helping us out here before he gets on a plane. So thank you, Derek, for that. I would ask attendees to use the Q&A tab to submit any questions for our team. We'll get to them throughout the rest of our time together here. We'll inject those as we can into the conversation. But please use that Q&A tab as much as you can. And Paula and Derek, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the introduction, Craig. So I just wanted to highlight before getting into the topics in the screen that, as Craig mentioned, Ascend is very interconnected, and the call that is in the website right now is a call that has the same topics for the papers and also for the collaborative sessions. And that's on purpose because we want to make sure that the collaborative sessions, so the panels, the town halls, etc., they are connected with the papers. So in a way, we can go into the panels and see what is happening in industry, and then go to the technical session, see what's happening in research, and connect both of them in an interdisciplinary way so that we can get a final result that we understand why we're doing something and how we are going to do it. And besides that, Ascend is also focused on an outcome. So it's focused on seeing how we can apply research and how we can create new, better missions and systems and operations. And when we are putting up topics like this, like the highlights that you see in your screen, you should look at them and think that what are the main challenges in each of those topics in there, and how can I help address them, or what are the new or potentially upcoming opportunities to address them or to come up with new ideas for solving those problems. So with that brief introduction, when talking about space traffic management and coordination, we all know that the amount of items in space is growing a lot in numbers. We know that there are actual satellites that work there in space, but there are also space debris, there are rocket bodies, there are a lot of things that are not working in space, and they sometimes pose hazard to working satellites. So in this big topic of space traffic management, we want to have papers and to have discussions on how can we, in a safe way, access and operate in space, but also what are the requirements that we need, for example, from a more regulatory perspective. Can we set a set of rules so that people will actively know what to do and be good stewards of the space around us? And we also want to understand how can we find out what orbital debris or classify them into big chunks? How can we remove them from orbit? How can we notify other people that there is potentially a space debris coming towards their operating spacecraft? How can we manage debris in a way that even if they are two non-operating debris, they don't collide with each other, so they don't create even more and more debris? We also want to understand how could we potentially create autonomous systems that could go there and remove those debris and track them and create some type of reports of where each thing is, so that we don't need to keep like moving around the active spacecraft to avoid those debris. So there are all these big encompassing themes on how can we go to space, how can we be safely in space, and how can we all go together understanding the same rules and having a smaller amount of debris in space as we go forward. So you can go to the next slide. There are more subtopics in there, and those subtopics, they are very broad. There are many of them, but they are not completely encompassing of everything. So if you're working on something that is not specifically highlighted on one of those subtopics, but that also goes into this outcome-focused space traffic management idea of making sure we can be in orbit safely and we can go away from debris or remove the amount of debris in a way that is not highlighted in the subtopics, you can still submit an abstract, and if it's connected with the topic, then we'll definitely take a look at it and match it into sessions. So the topics that are highlighted in there are for autonomous operations of satellites and constellations, finding ways to create certifications for systems that you send to space, find ways to communicate with space items and with the Earth to be able to remove them, find ways to operate those assets that are in space, detect them and coordinate their removal from space. Also some type of enabling technology that will understand more where the debris are, how to remove them, creating some new rules to be able to remove those and also avoid the creation of more debris, and create some ideas on how to deorbit some spacecraft or how to commission them and decommission them so they can end their mission in a safe way without creating more debris. And finally, there is one subtopic on unidentified aerial phenomena. So there is a topic that is raising in that area. And if you have papers on that topic, they are also welcome in traffic management and coordination area of the Ascend conference. So that was a brief overview. If you have questions about that, feel free to put them on the chat. But now I'm going to pass it to Derek to talk about the second topic of today.
All right, thank you. Now let's go to the next slide. All right, so for space security and protection, the important thing to understand is that this is probably one of the more unique areas for this conference. Some of the other sub areas are kind of focused more on the civil, the private sector, academic sectors, what's going on in there. This one is definitely kind of written much more with the flavor of national defense and protection, resilience, security. So the topics here are usually more aligned with people that are working in that area or people that want to work more in that area, but certainly not exclusive to those that are in that area alone. Certainly private industry has a lot of interest in this for keeping their business interests protected as they do their work in life in space. The primary areas that we're looking at with this topic, goes to protection of our space capabilities. How do we make sure that anything that we put up there is going to be safe from the environment, from other players out there, either from intentional events or from accidental events. The second one on there is management of increasingly crowded space domain. So it's very similar in essence to the space traffic management, but much more focused on kind of the philosophy, the understanding, the practices, the policies regarding how we as a lot of diverse, complex players interact in that kind of a regime, in that kind of domain of events. The next one there is capabilities that leverage our sensors and system technologies, right? We utilize space to move ones and zeros around the planet. We utilize other systems on the ground to inform those decisions and those operations. how do we intermingle those different technologies? How do we take lessons learned from other domains and apply to space? Protection of our ability to operate freely in space. Again, that's a lot more focused on the resilience. How do we make sure that anything that happens, we can operate through it regardless of what happens? And for the public-private partnerships, what kind of new things can we do with industry and new collaborations to try to open up that trade space of information available to everyone? Let's go ahead and move a slide. So this kind of breaks out that space security and protection into a lot of subtopics. I won't necessarily go through each of those, but I do want everyone to understand that, just like Paula said in the last one, these are not meant to be an inclusive everything list, right? If you guys have something going on in your research, your engineering domain departments, and your sectors that might be of interest to this, certainly send it to us, let us know. A lot of the topics in the past have focused on things like cybersecurity, partnerships and processes, different types of detection. How do we do space domain awareness better? New and enabling technologies and processes. That's a real big catch-all for all things pervasive related to space technology. Different types of protections, susceptibilities and vulnerabilities, so on and so forth. So that's kind of a flavor of what we're doing with the space security and protection area. And we're certainly interested in hearing what you guys have to offer to that and any other ideas you might have besides these as well. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on. And I think it goes into the questions next.
Great. Thank you, Paula and Derek, for that great overview of these two topics. We have one question so far. It says, I'm wondering if I would want to organize a debate in STM, is there any payment encouraged from my side? So I think it's asking, is registration required to organize a session? And we do ask people to are submitting ideas to recognize that there is a cost to attending, and registration is required for those that submit papers and sessions. And that information will be on the website starting in June. There was also a question around making the slides available, and I mentioned in the chat that we'll post this recording. All these topics are on the website, and if you'd like a actual copy of the slides, please feel free to email me, and I put my email address in the chat there. Let's see, there's a question here that says, does Ascend have ITAR restricted sessions? And I can take a crack at that one, and then Derek or Paula, please feel free to jump in. But we do not have ITAR restricted sessions at Ascend. AIAA does offer a defense forum that's coming up here in the next month or so, where it is a classified environment to present some of those types of briefings, but we do not have ITAR restricted sessions at Ascend at this time. Let's see. Don't see any other questions coming in. I will say again, we'll post this recording up on the AIAA website and the Ascend website. We ask folks to please feel free to share this with their communities, and please help us amplify the call for content and get the word out. We really want to have a robust technical program at Ascend this year. And if there's no other questions, I think we can come to the end of our time here. Let me just recap a couple of important items. Again, the call is scheduled to close next week on the 15th. Author notices come out on the 2nd of June, and then manuscript deadlines for those submitting papers would be 18 September, and then the event happening starting on the 23rd of October. Sorry, just got a couple questions coming in here. And there's a suggestion about engaging with the Space Management Traffic Conference with IAA, and that's a great suggestion. Appreciate that, Jacob, and we'll take a look at that. And then a question about space debris. So yes, if you have If you have a topic that you'd like to see at the event on space debris, please do go and submit that through the call for content through the website. There's a lot of information there on how to go and do that. If you have additional questions, there's also contact information for Paula, for Derek, and for all of the rest of the planning committee up there on the website, and they're willing to take questions. You can reach out to me at any time. Again, I'm at craigd@aiaa.org. I'd like to thank Paula and Derek. Thank you for your time and all of your support in building Ascend. Thank you, all of you attendees, for coming in and spending some time with us. I hope you found this informative and productive. We're looking forward to seeing your submissions next week. And with that, please have a great afternoon, and thank you.